Okay. Tina, I'm going to make you co-host. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this Moon Wombs of Peace Circle for February 2023. And if you want, we would like for you to put in the chat box where you're from currently joining us, and also where you're from originally, so we can feel a hug of Mother Earth as we are beginning this. I will put mine in a minute. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a Sunday, and for many people it's a busy day, or it's a weekend day, depending on where you're at in the world. And you have made the time to, as humans, we have just one place at one time that we can be at, and we've all chosen to be here now. So it's already a synchronicity, which is something that our hearts know, our wombs know, but our minds often forget. So thank you for bringing it in a very tangible way and mindful way. Today we are gathering with an intention to, maybe I'll start with my own view on that. I just realized this has been 3 years, nearly to the day, since pandemic arrived in Alaska, about a moment and a half after I did with my 2 girls. And I was noticing how when leaders were talking about what we need to do about the pandemic, which is a disease, it wasn't about healing. It was about, we have to fight it. We have to defeat it. It's our enemy. So I was like, even when life is offering something to us in the form of a disease, we don't think about healing. We're thinking about, how do we fight it? How do we kill it? Rather than, how do we heal it? And it often feels like we are so trapped in war consciousness, in the consciousness of conflict, of conflicting and competing instead of completing, in a consciousness of fight instead of delight. How do we turn from a consciousness that wants tombs for our other selves, sometimes for ourselves, to a womb that can dream a future that is not yet here? But we have to make way for it to exist. Otherwise, there is no choice. And, the people who are advocating for war are right. There is no choice unless we create one. But how do we do this? So I've invited a few elders that are so, I feel, full of wisdom, that they can share with us, and maybe even let us experience what that might be like, offering us maybe doorways to exploring more in ourselves and maybe beyond ourselves. So that is, I am originally from Israel, the Holy Land, the land of, so good. Sorry. So I'm now in Alaska, but I'm originally an Israeli. So the consciousness, the old consciousness I was talking about, conflict and war, is very familiar to me. But I have come to know through my womb, first of all, when I gave birth to my children, and then when I heard the elders talk about it, that something different is actually possible. But we very much forget, just like we all have been in a womb, but then we forgot not only the womb, but the entire feminine side that is alive in all of us, because we're all masculine and feminine coming together to create something that wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. So thank you for being here. And the way we do it is we we are in a circle where we're all listening very deeply from the ear at the center of our heart. If you look at the word heart, at the center of it, there is an ear. And we are asking you to listen from that ear. And earth begins with an ear. So can we please listen from that place that knows how to listen without judgment and without agenda. And even when our elders are speaking, I feel that they are speaking while listening. And it's just that the words come, or the songs or whatever comes from this mouth or that mouth, but we are all in this deep listening together. And even if I'm usually a deer and now I'm listening to the lion telling the story of the chase, if I listen without agenda, I can recognize the truth in the story of the lion, and even my hidden inner lion in my inner child that I often forget. So we can be mirrors to each other, to our other selves, and just like the womb, expand even when it's not comfortable, to something new. And it can begin to be live or existing in us and then maybe outside of us. Because the womb does not promise that everything that we want will happen, right? Or that everything that we put in will come together and be fruitful. But it is a possibility. So we're inviting you into this adventure without agenda. And it's like a potluck of dishes that the elders are offering to us. You don't have to take something, but you don't need to push away from the table or be like, don't take that. Because we all have different plates and different palates. So we're inviting you to take whatever nourishes you. And may this be a good circle. Thank you. And now I would ask Mahina, our Hawaiian young elder, to please give us the opening. Mahina?
Hihi, aloha, kakahiaka. Whew, wow, all of these beautiful faces. It's such an honor. Woo-hoo. So as we breathe, oh, breathe in the womb, breathe in the love through our crown chakra, all that beautiful honey from the Father that comes through our body, goes out our womb into the earth, through the mother, nourishing our body, breathing in the mother's energy, that beautiful green, golden milk, breathing it up and through the body and giving it to the Father. Whoosh. So this prayer that I'm going to be sharing with you, it is that prayer. So it's Ehomai, it's calling on all of the wisdom, all of the knowledge, all of the nourishment from everything that is outside of you. So all the heavens, every star, every planet, it's Ehomai, Ikemai. The Ike is the knowledge and the inspiration. So it comes in from above, and then Ehomai from below. So everything that the earth is, every grain of dirt, every blood, every tear that is in the earth, we're asking her to fill us to the brim. And when I say Ehomai, I will be saying it 3 times. You're welcome to also say it with me in your heart, in your voice. Hey. Hey, oh my God, que mai luna mai oh na mea una no yo O Namale. Hey ho my, hey ho my, hey ho my, hey ho my, kai ke mai luna mai. O na mea una no eo, o na mele. Hey ho my, hey ho my, hey ho my, hey ho my, kai ke mai luna mai. O na mea una no eo, o na mele. Hey ho my, hey ho my. Hey ho my. Mahalo ke akua. Mahalo ohana family. Mahalo ohane guardian angels. Mahalo auma kua guardians of our life. Mahalo aina the lands. Mahalo moana the ocean. Mahalo ke akua God. We humbly come upon you. We humbly ask for your blessing. We humbly ask that you would cleanse and purify our bodies, cleanse and purify our minds, cleanse and purify our hearts, cleanse and purify everything that we are, Creator. Cleanse and purify our vessels so that we can be a pure vessel for you to speak through, live through, love through, walk through, make love through, do battle through, do all the things through us and to us so that we may be lifted up. We may be fortified. We may have the foundation that we need as humans, as this beautiful avatar awakens and remembers who and what she truly is in this time, in this beautiful timeline. We ask all these things in our Creator's name, beautiful feminine and masculine Creator. Ah, Mama Ua Noa. We lift these prayers and we send them off into the entire quantum field. Aloha Ma is I'm greeting, I'm wishing life to my other selves right now. Mahalo.
Wow. Mahalo. Wada'aba. Thank you so much, Mahina. Thank you for being here and for giving us this beautiful, beautiful blessing.
Ayo.
And now we will go into the sharing now that Mahina has opened the ceremonial space for us. The elders will share whatever they want to share, feel that this circle needs to hear or receive from them. And I'm asking Ia to start telling us how do you work with the womb? What is the womb healing for these times? Anything else that you wish to share with us? Please, Elder.
You have to, am I open? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear
Yeah.
you clear.
I want to thank Mahala for, am I saying your name right? Please help me. I don't like to mispronounce names. I'm grateful for the open prayer because I felt like you and I was in tune in the same prayer. And this prayer,
You pronounce it Mahina,
Mahinga.
and that means moon in Hawaiian.
Thank you. And I felt that we was connected there and somehow because what's been when I'm asked to come to ceremony or come in ritual, what I've been taught is that we make intention for ritual. But ritual is, once the intention made, ritual shows up in these many different ways and speak to us in terms of how she wants to come forth. So we made this intention to hold this sacred ceremony healing for womb healing. And what's been coming to me is that we complain so much, but what is it that we can really go back in and harvest about the womb? And each one of us can go back and harvest something about the womb, because we gave birth to whatever we see on this planet. And that might be difficult for us to intune, whether it was through the child that we dreamed and envisioned. Somehow the womb knew what it was bringing in, whether it remembered to ask for what it wanted in those characteristics or not, it got manifest. The man that we see that we call the warmongers on the earth, some woman gave birth, some womb gave birth to that war that we see on this planet. And our womb has the capacity to go back and dream a new dream and ask for forgiveness that we might not have asked for the right thing, creation. But now we know, because we have had the experience. And I'm gonna tell a story to illustrate that. It's because it said when the old ones remember what it was that they were supposed to remember, the old women go back into the cave and they redream the dream and they weave again what is broken. And they said, what did we not forget? Or did we forget? Is it now time to weave again a new story on creation? That's what the old ones say. The old women who crave back into their cave and they listen deeply and say, now what do we need to bring for creation? Creation, because we are creators and co-creators in alignment with creation herself. It's when we forget that we are creation itself and that we have the responsibility to dream new dreams and to weave together new avenues for creation to have a deeper experience of her own existence. Her own existence. And perhaps, Mother, this was a time we needed to go in and learn a new lesson, but we go back to this cave and we come back and say, oh, Mother, what now do we need to bring forth and offer to our daughters and offer to the earth? And how can we best do that, Mother, without first looking and weaving through and sifting through what no longer serves us, and that we can begin to give some gratitude for those pieces that we might be able to weave into this new weaving and into this knee quilt and this new fabric that we want to create on this planet. Oh, Mother, we come to you now and we kneel closely to the earth because we know that you and I are one. And I'm coming to this essential womb to learn again and see what I must bring back to the sacred hoop. Can I do that? Can we dream again, mothers, and go inside that womb and say, oh, if I dream that dream and it's causing pain, I'm so sorry. I forgive myself. I let it go. I let it go. Take it in, Mother. Help me to create a new dream, and weave a new vision and have a new dream that comes to the surface in this awesome time of birth, of death and rebirth. I gently release that what no longer serves me. And then I envision what I want to dream. And if you're women, you can feel it in your belly when it's time. You put your hand there. There's something about us that knows that cycle, that 14th day cycle when something triggers in the womb and tells us that we could give birth. It's time for something to happen. If we are birthing mothers, we know that energy. And I think that's why the old ones had it, what they call the moon lodges, in places that we could go set and envision what we wanted to bring on this earth. I think that really is why they exist, why they call them moon lodges. And I think why they had those lodges for the old ones, the mothers to go sit and gather and harvest what they already knew so they could nurture their daughters and hold them in this sacred circle when it was time for healing. So it's time for the grandmothers to come together in that circle and help our daughters to rebalance that energy, that sacred energy. Oh, daughters, what can we help you heal now? And if there are daughters and it just gets stirred up, take your journal and write it down and come back to these grandmothers and say, grandmother, this is what emerged for me. And I need to now sit with you and make sense of it. Is it okay? I want to thank you for being here, the ears, the hearts that listening in right now. And just put your hand on your womb and your heart. And just feel into it. Even if we're grandmothers, there might be something that we want to remember and give some gratitude and reconciling ourselves. It's okay. This is a time that we can come together and say thank you and be in gratitude and not feel guilty. But these are lessons that we have learned along the way, and now we can reconcile those things we no longer need. So we are grateful for this opportunity. Grandmother Moon, in your time, we're in your time. This is your time. We are full like you are full right now. And we harvest well those things, those seeds that we want to bring forth. So we can put them into that dark cave again. And so they can be nurtured and they can give birth in the newness of life. Thank you, grandmother. Thank you, Grandmother Moon. Thank you. Ashe, Aho, Amen.
Ashe, thank you, Elder. As you were speaking, going through a journey with all kinds of things, but as you were talking about letting go, it felt to me like nature is doing that anyway. And we can either try and resist, but it's like resisting to the waves of the ocean. We can't really decide that there will be no waves. Or we can ride those waves. And it made me remember once I had a lower back. And so it's a place, it's very hard to see what's going on. So I had my kids look and tell me what's going on. And it was getting worse. And I put some ointment that someone recommended to me, a doctor recommended to me, and it didn't work. And it became worse. And the kids were like, Mom, what's going to happen? It's getting worse. And I said, I'm going to have my blood time soon. And I'm going to ask my blood to go into every place in my body, collect everything that is, not wanted there. And I'll just wash it out with my blood. And it happened. And they watched it during my bleeding time. They watched how it healed. And they said, Mom, when am I going to get mine? And I was like, so much generational healing. It just happened with this infection. And so as Ia reminded us, sometimes it's an annoying, painful lesson. And we're like, I wish I didn't have it. But then there are presents there if we are consenting or agreeing to look. And so now I am asking Anita to give us her wisdom, her sharing her heart and womb wisdom, please.
Thank you. I'm called Anita Luisa Teresa Medina Sanchez, and I'm saying all those names I don't usually. My name means graceful warrior, and through my vision quests and that I was given the name of woman of all seasons. And I think I'm moved to say all that from the opening with Mahina and Ia's beautiful words, and Yael, how she always weaves it in a way to make sure that it's touching the individual heart as well as the collective. I'm here in the foothills of Boulder, Colorado, the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, the land of the Cheyenne, Ute, and Arapaho that have allowed me to be here in these unceded lands. And my family is Nawa, which is Azteca. I'm also, that's where most of the ritual and the ceremony that I know, but maybe perhaps some of you have done those DNA tests and began learning things that you didn't know. And that has been true for me. So I'm discovering about that. I'm also, my family comes from the Amazon. And this is a dream that keeps continuing because I had no stories about coming from South America, had no stories yet. Since 2007, I have been going to the sacred headwaters of the Amazon every year, once a year, leading a group deep into the sacred headwaters to learn from the Ashwa and Sapara people, to be held by the spirit of Amazonia, the forest. And so a couple of years ago during COVID, when I did this test, in one hand, I was just awed, and then at the same time, not surprised at all that the ancestors are with us. The grandmothers, the mothers, the grandmothers going back, 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 and back. And so rather than going, I could go through, well, why didn't I know this, on all the negative stuff that happens with that? And I need to ask some of that. It's not to look at what are some of the barriers, but it's not to put most of my energy there. I have only so much time as already a future ancestor to leave for those who come behind me. An expanded dream, a more of a knowing. So I'm learning lots about that. And I come to you with a particular kind of joy and responsibility. As Nawa, as Stekan, as my 4'10" grandmother taught me, and the 120 first cousins that I have, she was quite amazing. She had 10 children. My mother was the second one. I'm wearing her dress today. She's passed, she's on the other side of the camp. And my mother was 15 pounds. The smallest baby that this grandmother of mine had was 9 pounds. So 10 children, 9 to 15 pounds. So already what seems impossible is possible. And it didn't come with all joy. There was pain and challenge. But at the same time, as my grandmother told the story, even when she was just bed, she could not move. She had to just stay still because of the size of the children and her whole innards really not being able to hold very well if she stood, was the joy, the lineage that she was part of in bringing this life. So I'm going to pause for a moment there, because those of you who have bore children, bared that, know what I'm speaking of. But I also am speaking to you women as well, who have chosen, either because it was a choice or for whatever physical reason could not bear children. I'm talking to you too, because you know. And one of the things you know, perhaps even better than me, those of us women, we all, first of all, men and women, all come from the womb, as Yael and Iyat, we all know. However, you know that as women who have chosen not, for whatever reason, to have children, you probably have more children in your life than even us who have born children. Because I know you're the aunties, you're the favorite sister, you're the favorite, all these favorite things, because you take your energy in this inner knowing from your mother, from your grandmothers, going back, 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 and you bring it forward. So what I'm hoping you begin to hear, and I'm going to make it real explicit, because I love the theme, the intention of this circle, is what my grandmother and ancestors have taught me, is that the womb is teaching us from the very beginning of our start that we are never alone. We do nothing alone. So even the idea of dreaming alone is ridiculous. Okay, does that take some weight off your shoulders? It's ridiculous. Because even when I'm dreaming, that all of that genetically that was there before is coming forward. And I invite and call forward the good dreams, the positive dreams. And I call forward a dream that will help take care of the nightmares. Okay? And all of us can do that. And so as I was in my practice this morning, I wake every morning before dawn and I go out on these foothills and I chant and I receive it. I love it when the moon and the sun are both out and I can raise my hands and receive the seeds of light from both life and death, life and rebirth, the constant understanding that I am this part of this amazing whole and I do nothing alone. So what was told to me, and it's coming through even stronger, and Mahina, I don't know what you evoked in there, but it was like, whoom, any doubt, we have no time right now for doubt. You just name it. Okay, there's doubt. All right, now let's go on. And that's what happened for me. And the doubt was, really? I'm supposed to tell him about these 5 things? Because, and as an Aztecan, as a Nahua person, we were always about community. It was always in connection and relationship with. The individual's always taken care of. It's not like, oh, those, some of those 121st cousins were just left to the wayside. No, that somehow there was room for a hug and food and everyone being cared for. I don't know how, but because economically we were not exactly what we would call rich, we're quite poor. And yet it was all there. But that what we were taught is that is not about seeking happiness. Joy already exists for the fact that we are part of this amazing hoop of life. And the responsibility is what we need to remember. And it's not responsible like, oh God, can I just get rid of that? No, that would be like saying, okay, everyone, hold your breath. Just hold your breath. How long can you hold your breath? Don't turn blue. Okay, so go ahead. We think it's just this vessel, this body of ours. But indigenous wisdom, the various traditions, we know a much holistic a perspective that takes us out of the kind of crazy crisis that we're in. Because it is the plant relatives who've taken the carbon, I'm looking at them out my window, and transformed it into oxygen. So even breathing, none of us are breathing alone. Whatever lands you're on, wherever the vegetation and those oceans that are grabbing the carbon, we just our very being, not even getting into all the doing that the larger culture keeps talking about. It is a time of being and doing, but we have to pay attention to that. So the 5 things that came through that I'm going to share with you, and you can write them down. And write them down, and it's okay to think about, okay, where am I on this? But remember when you say, where am I? Where are we on this is more the language we use. Where are we on this? So the 5 things that all human beings need to thrive. Hear me, thrive, not just survive, not just get by, not till just I'm going to pass the other side of the camp and let the young ones take care of what's coming next. No, for all of us to thrive. The first is breath. The first is always breath. And in that womb, we were being breathed. I don't hear people talk about, some of us actually remember being in the womb, but many have not. But you were being breathed. That's what is happening. And that is what is happening now. And we have the responsibility to make sure that air, that oxygen stays clean. We need to do our part to not pollute it with these beautiful plant relatives are doing for us, and not just be mindless about the toxins that we're putting in there through chemicals and other things that we put in the air. So the first thing we need to thrive is oxygen. And go back to the womb if you need to go back to the womb. It's a great place to start, because then you will always remember, oh, I do nothing alone. The illusion of separateness. The second thing that we all need is rest. Most people, probably some of you are going to say water first. We need all these things, but rest. We can go longer without water and food and all these, but rest. Women, hello, that 4-letter word. We need to do that. In the womb, we were resting. We were growing. We had to rest. We had to sleep. because we're doing our things were happening when we rest. Muscle is built while we rest. Dreaming happens big time way without the mind being in the way when we rest. So put that down. How are you doing on rest? Are you giving yourself that most needed, essential part of being a human being? Rest. The third thing that all human beings need to thrive is water. That's sacred water. Go ahead and go back to the womb. That water, that I can hear the heartbeat. I can hear the water. And we put that water in our body every day. And as newborns, we're like 60, 65% water. As adults, we may be as little as 50% water. That's important. Thank you, water. Thank you. The joy that I have that I am water and that I am part of you, streams, river, ocean. And I have the joy and responsibility to care because it's we who are dreaming the present and the future for not only our generation, but 7 generations, at least that many out. So water is so critical. The fourth thing that we all need is nutrition. And that means real nutrition, not the crud that is sold to us, that we're being prompted in ads, constantly being told, buy this, consume this, be a good human being, consumer. And it's crud. And so what I love that's rising now again is I see people, even if it's just in an apartment or on a deck or to the right of me, have this little sunny area, growing plants, putting our hands back in there, understanding that this isn't something that just comes in cellophane wrapping in a store, that this is about our relatives, the plant relatives who are feeding us, about the four-leggeds that we honor, that we take that nutrition and put in. And some of you may be vegan, so you may not do that. But for me, as an Indigenous person, we honor and we still eat the meat of the elk and the moose and the deer. And we give gratitude to those relatives. And I have a responsibility to them to be a life-giving force in the world because that nutrition has come in me, that beauty of theirs becomes a part of me, and that is my responsibility to keep that reciprocity going, that flow. So nutrition. So far, you got oxygen, breathing, deep breathing, not the shallow breathing we're doing, the deep breathing. Rest, water, nutrition. And then the last thing, which is not the last thing, it's embedded in all of it, is community. And that's what the womb teaches us. 2 hearts as one. Sometimes for those, maybe some of you here who've had twins or triplets, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Yeah, my kids had big heads, so that tells you another thing too, because it's really not the weight, it's the size of the head that really counts. But nonetheless, that community is central in all those first 4 things that we need to thrive. And we need community. We need to be intentional about the community that we're creating. The community starting just inside ourselves. Are you in alignment between your head and your heart, your emotions, your spirituality? I was talking to a sister as we just start, and you're going to hear her soon. And she's amazing because she's an MD, she's a doctor, as well as she's a medicine person. She's carrying that lineage as I am caring for mine. But she went the full route with the MD as well. And integrating all of that, because it's an illusion of the separateness. And one doesn't demean the other. In fact, we need science, current science, medicine, to embrace what we already know from the womb, what is essential. And so that community is so critical, so essential. So please, as you listed those 5 things, ask yourself, how are we doing? How are we doing? and run that rest. And I'm asking the rest because sometimes women just have the to-do list so big that they think, oh, I don't even know how you do a morning ritual. I don't know how you don't do a morning ritual, because my day would be a mess if I didn't do that, honoring those seeds that are coming from the sun and the moon. But before you go to sleep, ask whoever is your guides, your ancestors, perhaps, and your ancestors may not just be the two-legged, it may be a four-legged, it may be a pet, it may be the water, the sun, the stars, whatever that is, to bring to you the messages that perhaps you may have forgotten from the womb, the messages that are around us all the time, how we are being held by Mother Earth, how I feel right now with seeing all your faces, being held by the spirit of Amazonia, who's been calling, and those journeyers who are coming along, that it's just, I know that, as my sister you're going to hear from shortly, talked about, we need to look up at the stars. We need to look up. And if you live in a city that's smoggy, you can still look up from inside because those stars are part of you. They are in you. And so I want to close with a dream that I have that has been coming true. I've had it since, I'm going to close with that, since I was 3 is the earliest time I remember having this dream. Luckily with my Indigenous grandmother and mother, every day we started with sharing dreams, and they never said I was crazy. They just said good. And the dream was of the earth, and there were all these stick people of different colors. And what was amazing about this dream is we all had our hands on each other's hearts. And so in kindergarten, not knowing better, I went ahead and drew that when they said, what are you going to be when you grow up? And so I drew that. And I was number 24 little 5-year-olds. And I got up and I shared, I'm this. And there's millions of us all over. I can't draw them all, but we have our hands on each other's hearts. And the children laughed, and the teacher said, put away your crayons. But something had that day. That 5-year-old, I felt my feet go down into Mother Earth, and I felt my head go up into the sky, and I knew that was what I was going to be when I grew up. What I didn't realize is I was already being that. So your dreams may be a new dream. It may be an old dream that, oh my gosh, what's happening with me telling this is you're going to recover that dream. You're going to remember it and help you go forward. And remember, we do nothing alone and from the womb. And with that, I'd like to close and ask your blessings to go to those who are coming in, who are being born, about to be born. And I recently learned that I am going to be a biological grandmother for the first time in July. And it's a baby girl. And I couldn't be happier. And I see the smiles on your face, so I can already feel you sending the energy and love to this little girl who is going to be born in July. And I've had to explain in some of my communities because I'm so excited about it. I'm about to start crying. And they go, but you've been a grandmother for some time, and you've been an auntie and a sister, yes. But there is something also in understanding that this is my piece of a big whole. And so bring that, because we do this together, of keeping in mind all that we're dreaming good dreams for not only us and those whose lives we touch, 2-legged, winged, 4-legged, and all the elements, but also for all the future generations. Because my sisters, aunties, elders, grandmothers, grandfather, uncle, we are the future ancestors now. And the womb teaches that. The womb is now. Aho.
Aho, aho. Thank you so much. Wow. That is reminding me many things I should remember. How is
Please share,
possible?
Celine. Please share.
How is possible that we all are in the same place at the same time? by the same reason. That's just miracle. Or we were just walking the pathway of our destiny, being together. So I am so glad to be here. How are you all? How are you all today? How I am today? I want just to ask you for honoring the fire, the water, the Mother Earth in a circle like our ancestors used to do. And this cycle reminds me what my grandmothers teach me. So I want to share this. I received this heritage. So I would love to honor the full moon. So our mother has been suffering from a blood full moon, and now she is going to be playing, and with her social entropy delivered by the full moon has to be spread around us. So please, I will ask you to close your eyes and take a very, very deep breath. And I will do what my grandmothers used to do in this circle of powerful women, which is starting by we can cure, they says we can cure the entire water in the world just by singing on a glass of water, on a bottle of simple water. Could be even dirty water, doesn't matter, it's just water. And having this, we will send to this water our best wishes, and we will pray our best praying. So the best prayer I do have is a song in Shipibo Konibo, used to pray to the ayahuasca mother for keep us strong and keep us together and keep us sitting in a circle like now. People coming from New Zealand, from Mexico, from Hawaii, from Peru, from Israel, from all over the world. We are sitting down here for a reason. And this reason is to send cure, send love, send relief to the entire world. Because we, as a circle of powerful women, we have been doing this for centuries. My grandmother says this, cure of the water, by praying or singing, has started 8,000 years before Christ. And we are still doing today, January 2023, as was taught to me. I will invite you to close your eyes and to send your best praying to the water. I will do in the language of the Chipibos Conibos. Nunca, 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 ra, 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 ra. Serenita danzare, irai, irai, serenita, cantare, irai, 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 irai. Angelito, angelito, ya serenita, certo será, ya, ya, ya. Nunca, 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 Kanong, kanong kararara. Agüita santa, agüita mía, ay, 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 toyita emperatriz, ay, 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 ay. Thank you. Now you can spread this water in a biggest body of water. Could be a lake, a river, could be the tank of your house of water, of your water house tank, or any other container of water. You can do it. And if we analyze these molecules in the microscope, you can see the difference between these water molecules are very ordered now, because my intention has the intention of all the people in this circle this morning. Thank you so much for that. Now, I am going to do what the other thing my grandmothers used to do, is to offering a circle of coca leaves to others, our sacred plant, the coca leaf. I do offer a quinto of coca for you. A quinto is a tree, the best 3 leaves of coca from the harvest. I choose these 2 beautiful 3 coca leaves for you. And I will teach you what my grandmother says. These 3 quinto, coca quintucha, is for you. And I ask my father the sun and my mother the moon, Mama Quillacha, Taita Inticha. Mama Quillacha means mother moon, is the mother who guides our life. So we have to offer this quinto to her as a compliment. And I am asking for you to, Mama Quillacha, Mother Moon, put light in your eyes. Put honey in your lips when you talk. And put gold in your hair. My grandma says, light in your eyes, honey in your lips, and gold in your hair. This makes the women in a circle red beard. And we need to rebirth every month with Mama Quillacha, with our Mother Moon. They said that. And then we start sharing the best in a community with sharing. And we make a ball of coca, and we sharing collectively, like we do everything collectively, like in this circle. We are doing collectively. Because collectivity is what defines human being. And we are doing collectively, like from 8,000 years before Christ, we are doing this. Before Christ, sorry. And the second element, beside the water, is the wind. And our breathing is the wind of the hair, and comes from Mama Quillacha, comes from Mother Moon. So it is possible to blow to you this chewing coca leaves I am chewing for you now. And you have heard that if a butterfly's but it wings, a lot of physical transformation happening in other part of the world. Are you conscious of that? Even a butterfly moving its wings can produce a storm somewhere in Thailand. This is the same principle. By the way, is the second law of thermodynamics. So by chewing these coca leaves, I am going to send to you, I am sending to you the spirit of the coca and the gratitude we as humans feel and honored Mother Moon, Mama Kiyacha. So please receive this blowing of the coca with your open hands. Close your eyes and take a very, very deep breath. It's the spirit of Mama Coca. Bring to you wisdom, peace, harmony, and social entropy. Social entropy and also entropy with our brothers and sisters, the animals. Always remember, we are just part of nature. And I am sending this to all your animals. Maybe you have cows or sheep or other animals, could be also domestic pets. I am sending this breathing to them. The other element, very important one, is this one. This is the fire. The fire cleans your soul. Just the fire can burn your regrets. It's the redemption. Fire is the redemption. Always honor the fire by making fire by yourself, making some fire, and then take the fire power of redemption, and cover like this. My grandmother used to do this. And think in those things you want to redeem from yourself or from your society or from your community. What regrets are you carrying as a big burden? Let the fire redeem our things, our regrets, our burden. The fire will burn your burden. And also remind us that there is a fire in the center and we are in a circle. And we have to keep the fire of consciousness alive, turning on. Then the other element is the mother heart, you know. The mother heart loves offerings. So in the name of all the people in this circle, I will honor it by providing some gift to Mother Heart. And I prepared this coca quintucha, coca 3 leaves of sacred coca leaf to her. Because Mother Heart loves the offering of sacred plants, like magic plants, like ayahuasca, peyote, fungi, mushrooms, magic mushrooms. We should put always a certain amount of magic plants on the hair to make it grow again and to maintain the harmony and the equilibrium. We as women sitting in a circle, we are empowering other women who are not present. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our daughters, and the others, women, daughters in the community. Because we have the power to do this. Because why? Because we are humble. And no one is more powerful than the humble people. Asking to Mother Earth and Mama Killacha, Mama Moon, for wisdom, for having the wisdom, always wisdom. Make us choose always the right decision. Select the criteria we are using for our choosing. Let us use the wisdom of you, Mama Killacha. She never get tired. She every 28 days she will appear again. Doesn't matter what happened. So we also have this strength inside of us. And finally, the wood. I will use the wood as my mother's use. So that's how the 4 elements that Mama Killacha, the stewardship in this world, can become to us in the form of flowers, in the form of wise women or desperate women or lost women. And in this tapestry of harmony, what we are doing is to restore the harmony, the losing harmony. So if you don't believe that just your simple praying over a glass of water can transform one entire sea, is you don't believe in yourself. And the lack of self-esteem and the lack of self-love is part of the problem in these societies, modern Western societies. I am offering this to Mother Earth, asking for redemption to the Father Fire, using the wood as an element to clarify our minds, praying for all the parts of the world who are suffering from war, from violence, from lack of wisdom. I do believe that our praying can transform the water, the Mother Earth, and the fire can redeem us. And saying this, I am redeeming with this fire also political leaders, women leaders, for make them think more clearly about what is happening, what are the right decisions, and also sending to them the sounder wind to put light in their eyes, honey in their lips, and gold in their hair. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Celine, for all the blessings and the prayers and the beautiful sharing. And may it be so that we have the blessing to our eyes and our lips and our hearts and all that we do. And as you reminded us, ripples out way beyond just ourselves to all our other selves, the human, the non-human, the seen, the unseen. Thank you so much. And I would like to invite Diana to share your wisdom with us, please.
Thank you. Thank you to all who spoke before me. I feel fed and enriched and open. I feel like that dot in the circle of yin and yang who's been receiving and now is turning inside out to offer something. And we just heard about world leaders and what about the pain? What about the pain? So today I was invited to go to a demonstration that is saying to the abhorrities that are happening now in Israel, my homeland, Yael's homeland, many people's homeland, where there is an attack, a relentless attack on human rights, on Arab peoples, on women, on the LGBTQ community, on the judicial system. And the demonstration is under the banner, and it's going all over the world, in Sydney and in Quebec and in San Francisco, in many places, under the banner of unacceptable. And I was talking with Yael about that because my first impulse was to go, and then I realized that unacceptable and the cry of no more is this gesture. And the other self is this gesture. So how do we reconcile that? How do we reconcile the need to say enough, no, no more, with the understanding that we are all other selves? So when Trump was in power, I had a commitment to myself for 1 year every morning as part of my practice, my morning practice, to take a few moments to hold in my heart the little boy, the little hurt, excluded, pained boy, because all of those world leaders that are oppressing and coming out with abhorrities, we're all seeing their little children inside that are wounded and cry for help. So how can we bring our heart and our womb to include the other selves, even when the other is one we don't want the action of, we are afraid of, we're afraid of the consequences of their actions? How can we still remember them as other selves? And I invite us to put our hands on our hearts. And if you have a womb,
When the stakes are high at work, your tone matters.
and here is another other self. Hello. Inviting us to put our palms on our heart. And if you have a womb, to bring one palm down to your womb and to remember that those eggs that were formed in our mother's womb and were part of I, when one egg descended, one part of me, I, yourself, descended into the cavity of the womb to journey into life, it became other. So all others started as me. All others started as me. And if we imagine the moon, the crescent moon, today she's full. If we imagine the crescent moon, the crescent of light, encircling the other cavity of darkness. And that's what the moon is teaching us. Every day, she's dancing with more self and other included in each other. The sun is always full. The sun doesn't have other in it, but the moon dances from crescent to full to crescent again. to include other in herself, to diminish her light, to allow more of the other to become part of her whole, to expand her light, to become part of other, until other and me are one, and there is no more distinction. And then the dance comes again and births itself once more, because this journey of including the other, including the other's pain, including the other's differences, including the other's similarities, including the other's inconveniences, because the other sometimes inconveniences us. And then what? Is that time for us to say, no more, we're not including you anymore? Or is that time to say, what can in me soften? What in me can become more like a bowl, like a crescent that hugs and encircles the other that I may not accept, the other that I may fear, the other that I may not understand? How can I see the seed of hurt in the other's eyes, to recognize my own hurt and see that we are sharing a seed of oneness in our human frailty, in our human emotion, in our human imperfection, in our quest to be seen, to be loved. The other is questing for that as much as the self does. And if we want to be seen, can we see the other? Not in condoning the abhorrities that the other does, but in seeing the pain underneath and strengthening that part, that child, that vulnerable place within them that is yearning to be seen and held and accepted. So inviting us in this moment to imagine one other that we have difficulties with. Might be a world leader, it might be someone in your family, it might be your neighbor, it might be someone you know or never met, but the actions of that person affect you. And for a moment, to see that person as a child, to see that person's quest to be accepted, to be seen, and to open your arms to that child in that other, and to see what happens to the fear of the adult other. What does the fear experiences when we see the sorrow, the sadness, the pain, the need inside the depths of this other that we feared? What happens then? And inviting our arms to hold, embrace, enclose, rock to our hearts, that little child inside of the other that our adult self deems as unacceptable. And in that embrace is your own younger self that is receiving visibility, that is receiving acceptability, that is receiving love, because that place inside of you and that place inside of other are one. Feel compassion to that one inside of your arms. And allow this circle of compassion to glow from your heart and womb outward to the little child inside all others those whom you love and those whom you don't understand, those with whom you agree and those with whom you don't. And allow your arms to open wide, to encircle the pain of the need to be seen that we all share in the root. And to say to those eyes, I see you. I see you. And to feel yourself be seen in this moment, fully. To feel yourself be accepted in this moment, fully. And radiate that sense of being accepted and seen from your core outward, from your heart, from your womb, as a light that spans the earth. And come back to this moment with your eyes closed and feel this glow that comes from within you and all around you. And invite yourself to continue to sense it even as your eyes gently begin to come back into this moment and open to include the visuals of now. We are one. Aho, thank you.
Sada, Diana, thank you. Again, with every elder, so much is coming in. I just want to touch on two things that resonated with me. Is the meditation that you did, I feel, holds what I often take with me in just a phrase where before I go into meeting someone or something that is likely to be conflicting, I say, Shalom, my other self. So if I'm going to meet you and we have a bit of tension, I say in my heart, Shalom, my other self, Diana. And I can get into story because we don't have time, but try it. It's amazing. If you can take what Diana just gave us and put that whenever you say Shalom, my other self, and then the name. Of course, it's easier with ones that we don't have conflict with, but also with ones that we do have. In my experience, just magical things happen. And the other thing is when you were talking about the moon and the different phases, and you were calling it a dance, I never thought of it as a dance, but yes, it is. It's a movement that is very slow, but we get to witness. And it reminds us of the movement that we have. And it reminded me that when I asked once our Hawaiian elder Auntie Puna, who's not with us today in this circle, but she was in other circles, and I asked her to maybe give a workshop about Ho'oponopono. She kind of laughed at me and she said, this would take a lifetime, but maybe we can start with just Pono. And I said, well, okay, what's that? And she said different things, but one that stuck with me was put movement into the pain. And it threw me to when I gave birth and I was in a lot of pain, and I didn't take painkillers, and my natural midwife, we call them in Israel, the ones that help you if you want to try and give birth without painkillers. She saw me getting, into a pain, and she said, "You're in pain?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You know what to do? Dance." And I was like, "Oh, yes." And I did, and that reminded there was just so helpful. I ended up not needing painkillers. And speaking of Hawaii, I would like to now invite our young Hawaiian elder, Auntie Mahina, to share what you have with womb work, because I've experienced it when I came to Kauai. So I'm wondering, I've never experienced you online before. This is the first time this busy woman is able to be with us. So please share with us, Mahina.
Woohoo! Oh, I love you all so much. Everybody's bringing me to tears, and that is the great thing about the womb, is she just goes. And my heart is so full listening to all my sisters, because you know we are all soul sisters or sisters, however you want to go into the constellation. But in Hawaiian, oh no, decline. Sorry, my son is calling. Stop calling. I can't talk to you right now. Sorry. Is aloha ma. And aloha ma is I wish breath, I wish life to my other self. Because that action, lo is action, lo is coming. And then the ha is the breath. So aloha. And then the ma is the completion. So we've gone through all of the, the whole shebang. How many lifetimes, how many womb times? And we come to the ma. Oof. So when you say aloha ma, it's like that reflection, that perfect reflection where we're like, oh, yes, aloha ma. I see you. I see me. Finally, I can see me. And it's one of those things where we're finally arriving as humans to the aloha ma, because once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you feel, you cannot unfeel. You are part of this. And what I have been understanding since the elders came here 5 years ago, and Illyrian just called me out, because I was like, I know they're coming. I'm going to cook. I'm going to drive. I'm going to do whatever they want, because these are my elders and I honor them. And he said, oh, no, your ancestors told my ancestors you have a lot to say. And my armpits started sweating. I'm like, oh, great. What are they going to do to me now? Because you know how ancestors are. Like, if you don't follow what they tell you, you are going to go down it. So when I started my prayers, which is the one that I did for you guys earlier, it was like 40,000 people were chanting with me. And it was rocking. It rocked my whole world. And what Kauai, she came in. My ancestor was Kauai, our eldest, the island. And what her real name is Mano Ikalani Po, which is the shark, the feminine shark, who is the navigator. In Hawaiian, the sharks are the navigators. So she is the shark that comes from the deepest, darkest lani, the heavens of the pole, the darkest heaven. So Mano, Mano, Kalani, Kalni, Mano Ikalani Po. I'll write it down because that's Kauai's true name. And what she told me was that she was the firstborn daughter. She agreed to come down first and to be born and to bring the first womb to the earth. And who gives me chicken skin? And so with her, she's been holding the line. She's been holding the knowledge, the the wisdom in her womb, so that finally we would remember. No matter what happened, no matter how many times this earth has been destroyed, 5 times, and it was supposed to be number 6. But she said, no way, Jose, you will not destroy me again. I am the woman and you will not destroy me. So the earth spoke out and she said, enough. And so she made the call. She made the call to the heavens, to the earths, everywhere on every dimension. And she said, I need help. And us as wombs answered the call. And we came back here and we embodied the womb once again. And we embodied our sisterhood once again, so that when we came into the earth, we would not forget. And we would remember, and we would share the ike mana, the powerful wisdom. And the ho'oponopono is what I do. And it's true, it's a lifetime. And what that is you're making. Ho'opono, you're making right. The pono is to make right. So whenever you have pono, right, it's like when the pono comes in, there's no questioning. You say, yes, mama. And so when she came in, and this is the other channel I had not so long ago, so there was the octopus, the twin flames, the feminine and the masculine, and they were dancing, the twin flames, when they get to dancing, they just dance it out. And so they're dancing through the universe. They're dancing through the universe. And in all of their tentacles that are perfectly together is the soul families. All the families of the souls are being carried. And so when the call goes out, and it was the call that we heard from the earth, and they feel it, and so they go to her, and then they open and they circle around her and they land. And this is the teachings from my mentor in Tahiti, my mother, Hepua. And we were sitting at Hyena Beach on the tunnels. I wish and I pray you guys all come to join me here. And she started crying, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, there she is. There's the grandmother. And the whole mountain was her eyes, and she had 5 tentacles perfectly coming out. And she's like, the grandmother is on Kauai, and the grandfather is in Moorea. And he's right behind my house, and he's my main guardian. And I'm always calling upon him, because when they separated and they landed onto the earth, they created the song lines, the way lines, the generation lines, the lay lines, the prayer lines. Everything was created in their form. And we would never get lost, because wherever you went, wherever you navigated, you would have a connection back to the heads, the po'o, and you could just dance on the earth. And then what we did when they came, the element, the ha. So when they gave ha to the vai, the water, the ha to the vai, the mountains were formed. The valleys were formed just through their ha, because these beings, these creator beings, were so powerful that when they blew their life into the earth, the vai, because she was just etheric, she was just liquid, she was the womb. And when this matter was able to blow the ha into the vai, the whole thing was created. All of the beings, all of the creatures, all of the trees, every element was put into life through their breath into the vai, the ha vai. So that's why there's the ha vai ki. And this element was brought, yes, the Hawaii, because the new earth is in New Zealand, the Hawaii. So it's like, if we don't, and first it was in Tahiti, and then it came to Hawaii, our islands. That's why currently our islands are called Hawaii, because this is where it landed in this timeline, in this dimension, in this amazing moment, the now. And where, if we don't completely understand the Ike, we're not gonna, as this generation, pass it to New Zealand, the Hawaii, the new earth. So we created it in this moment, the Hawaii, and then the Kohala came, the whales came, because they have the songs. They are the record keepers of the entire existence. They just give them. They don't hold back. When they come and they sing, and imagine they do the full out of body, they dive and they sing, and all they do is sing, 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 sing. And they bring all that Ike is stored in their vibration, never to be lost, never to be misunderstood or, distorted. They made the agreement. They will carry the true records. They will carry the true knowledge in their, in their ha. So they came down. And then the turtles came, and each turtle is each soul family. So each one of those suckers that were on the He'e, when they landed, that was a tribe. It was a tribe. So when the He'e separated, they created the tribe together. So it was on the opposite sides, so that one day they could get back together again. And that just came in right now. I didn't realize, because I was always like, okay, the tribes are so separated, but they were born in the same womb of the tentacle of that sucker, right? And so the turtle on the back of its shell has the blueprint of the tribe. And turtle people each turtle carries the knowledge of the tribes, of the beings, of the soul families. And so that's why we're so unique, but all the same. And so they're swimming across the universe, so that when they land, we will always know who we are, where our tribes are, because turtle people, turtle land, turtle beings. And then you had the sharks. Well, she came in first, but the shark knowledge, the mano, is really the navigators. So they're like the jaguars, because I'm Jaguar clan too. And they're like, the navigators through the underworld, the navigators through the upper worlds. They're the ones who know where all the doors are. They're the ones who know where the entries are to all the wombs, because they're the guardians. Not only are they gatekeepers, navigators, but they're the guardians of the gates, of the grids. They stand. And when we came from Tahiti, and this is coming from my husband's teachings, because he's from Tahiti, from Taha'a and Raiatea, they are the twin flames. So Raiatea has Tapu Tapu Atea, where the warriors were all prepared to navigate. Maupiti is the oldest island, and she is the one where the kings and the healers were prepared, because when they navigated, they never looked back. You had to go forward, and they chose the best of the best. So there was a sadness, because we're giving the best to go. And that's how Polynesians always were. They never held back. They gave the best. And this is the Mu teachings, the original beings who came to Earth. When they came from the stars, they came as the best. So that when they seeded this Earth, it was the best. It wasn't half, okole. It was the best. And that's why now when you see the state of the Earth, we're only giving so much small percentage of ourselves, because we have been, hijacked. So now that we know what our best is, and we start womb healing, and that's the Ho'oponopono. So take a breath with me. And that's why the Polynesians, they always breathe forehead to forehead, nose to nose. You breathe with each other. The honi. you don't, and that's the kiss, the hone is when you breathe with each other because you're sharing breath. It's not just a hug or a handshake. It's I see you and I breathe with you. So as we breathe together, into our womb, with one hand on our heart always and one hand on our womb always. And I love that about us as we go straight there. Yeah, we're not messing around. Tap your heart, tap your womb, get in there, make the connection. And as you open up your crown chakra, you know, your whole top of your light castle up here. And when the sun, and this meditation really came in not too long ago for me, where the father, the grandfather, the masculine, the divine masculine energy is able to unleash all of his honey into your crown chakra, and it goes over your eyes, over your throat, and it's like breathing in the beautiful honey of creation. And as it nurtures, you know, we thank that sun when it hits. It's like imagining when the sun makes love to the flower, she blooms. So we are that flower, and you just let yourself bloom, and you can feel all over your shoulders, your legs, you know, you can feel all that honey coming out your fingers, out your mouth, out your eyes, nurturing. And what does it do? It goes through your womb and it goes to the earth, because he doesn't hold back. He gives everything to the mother. Ooh, so as you feel it going out of your body into the mother, ooh, just feel it like a waterfall. And as she opens her womb to receive, you open your womb to receive all of that light, all of that honey into your womb, into her womb. And as she exhales, that she's full to the brim. And when she exhales back to the father, the mother, the grandmother, the daughter, the sister, she exhales her milk. So she exhales the milk and she nurtures, and she takes that father to her breast. She takes that child to her breast and she gives the milk. And it's rich and thick and golden. And she nurtures this child in her arms. And as you feel with every breath, the honey that goes into the womb and the milk that goes into the heart of the grandfather. So the heart is where the grandfather lives, and the womb is where the grandmother lives. Ooh, so every breath is just from the heart to the womb. Simple, easy, flowing. And when you realize that you, this consciousness that you are, is simply the kiss between the mother and the father, you were created as the kiss, as the reward of all of their love, as the spark and representative of true love. And nothing else. It's how much they love each other that we were called. We were called to be created. And we cannot resist this call. And this is the dream that I have, that I know you have, to recreate, to engineer the new earth, the new time. And what Mano Ikalani Po shared with me was when the elders left and we were able to clear the ley lines in the birthing heiau, because the birthing heiau in Ha'ena is the hot spot. Halele'a is the moku, or the ahupua'a, the land system that reaches about 20 miles. It means the house of ecstasy. And in the middle of that land area on the north shore of Mano'i Kalanipo is a heiau, a birthing temple where all the souls agreed to come through. And as they came through this portal, they were infused. Every single soul was infused with the water codes, the light codes of original creation, so that no matter what happens in this earthly story, the school, we will always one day come back to the origin of the original understanding, ikemana, knowledge of power, knowledge of love, and it will be awakened. And as we sit in this womb of creation and we surround ourselves with all of this honey and all of this milk, she gave forth, she rained, she rained, she rained like you cannot imagine. I was in the middle and the waters broke. Her birthing waters broke. And all the mountains came down. 12 mountains came down on Kauai and cleaned, and every rock, there was billions of rocks that got unturned and came onto the beaches and came down onto the roads, and all the family lines. Wainiha, the valley I live in, is the biggest valley in Polynesia. All the islands, Wainiha, Vainiha, the raging waters, is the biggest valley. And so she had the most people living, and there's Mu, there's Manahune, there is Octurians, Pleiadians. There's so many histories of blue beings, of Hawaiians, of Tahitians living in this valley because she's so old. She carried all the teachings, and every type of being has lived in this valley. And when she let loose her waters and flooded and washed, I live right at the point of this river, and the whole waters washed all the problems, all the karma, all of the built up tension, washed out the ocean, out the rivers. And it was like a new child was born. This was the healing. This was the birthing chamber of the earth. And when her new child was born, I was there to witness this spectacular child. And she was flourishing, and it was so quiet. There had been thousands of cars and tourists, and everybody was cleaned out. Only 800 of us who lived there were allowed to stay because it was closed down for 2 years. And we witnessed this time and this space of silence. And
Mahina,
the
sorry, Elder.
oceans. And so
We are
that's the
going-
end. That is the end. And so I will wrap it. And this New Earth program that we are witnessing is here now. And I love you all. And I look forward to flying. And the sanctuary, we have an angel who is going to build us a healing temple on Kauai. And I open my arms to all of you. There will be land, there will be food forever for you and your children. Aloha ma. Aloha ma.
Mahalo. Aloha ma.
Whew, sorry. She took me there.
Okay. As we were saying, these elders, each of them have so much that they can give, and we can listen for hours. And this is why we are putting in the chat box the bios, because we don't want to waste time on introducing. But please go into the bios, and in the next newsletter we will send also them and ways to connect with the elders, to whoever wants to explore more, because there's, you know, so much. These are just bite sizes that we are given. And I know some people have to leave because I misestimated the time. So if you need to, feel free, and you know, I'm sorry that we're going over time, but we do not like to interrupt elders. No, it's, you know, when spirit comes in, Queer is always telling me, you know, don't promise you know, a hard stop, because when spirit comes in, the elders are working for her, not for you. So remember that. That's why we are recording. So if you need to leave, you can watch the recording. And if you can stay, then please stay, because we want to hear from Catherine. I just want to touch on one thing that Mahina mentioned, and I'm so grateful for, which is the masculine that is dancing with the feminine. And we have a few, very few, but very powerful men here with us. And I want to acknowledge their presence. I know it's not easy to be in such a fierce feminine circle. But I'm so glad that you two are here with us. And it's just, you know, so as so many elders were reminding us, we are not alone, because we cannot do this alone. Powerful as the womb is, we cannot, you know, have pregnancy without someone, something else coming in. So thank you for coming in too, and for being with us. And with that, we'll go from Hawaii to Hawaiki. I hope I'm saying it right, Mahina. And Catherine, please share your wisdom, Maori elder.
Kia ora. I'm getting so much, it's a deepening of what I already know from my community, the wisdom and knowledge from my community. This is going so deep, and there's so many topics that we could probably spend like a whole gathering on just that one idea, like prophecy. I'm getting a sense of prophecy would be a really good one, just to focus in on one session on prophecy, because we have so many powerful prophecies. And I'm, because of limited time, I'm looking at all of the ideas that have been shared. Where to start? Who knows? But I reflected quickly on that. Our word for womb, as I mentioned before, is pare tangata, which means the house of humanity. So, okay, house, okay. And then I thought, you know how many on this call have mentioned like some kind of a gathering, a place of gathering, or Aya talked about moon lodges, and Mahina just talked about a healing temple being constructed, and Anita talked about getting together in community and sharing, you know, and I'm thinking, you know what, it was years ago, this is a story now, years ago, I had this desire in me to build an enlightenment center. I played around with the words, you know, labels are labels. Don't put too much importance on the label enlightenment center. I mean, you know, how arrogant of a mere mortal to say, I'm going to create an enlightenment center. But it was the compulsion, right? It was the, you're impelled to follow that call. And like it was said today, if the tupuna give you a call and you don't listen to it, your life tends to go all woohoo. So got to go there. And so something else that came to me was also the record-breaking floods that happened in Aotearoa just this week. 4 people died, and many more were made homeless. So there's this idea of homes again. How do we create these homes for these people? So, and that connects us with the idea of water, the power of water, which in our language is wai. And also the word for like our metaphysical essence, our spirit, is wairua. Hey, we could have a whole discussion about drilling into the whole meaning of that. I won't go into that now because, as you know, I could, but we don't have time. I've got 6 minutes and a bit left on my alarm. But so houses, buildings, whares, constructing something. Years ago, I wanted to build an enlightenment center, and I brought my husband in on that creation impulsion. So we're both in this, you know, together. One day I woke, it was like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. I realized that the universe was already co-creating that with me. Not in the way that I imagined it, though. I thought I was talking about a piece of whenua land. Oh, by the way, whenua is our word for land, and placenta. I could go into how the womb is like a whole hook for connecting us with Mother Nature. She reminds us, remember, the land is so important. And of course, the, what do you call it? Amniotic fluid. You know, there's a word for amniotic fluid as well, which has Y in it. Waikahu, is it? Amniotic fluid. It's like a cloak of water. Oh man. But anyway, so the universe has already co-created, I realized, when I started to get into events like this. It's an ethereal house, as you call it. It's a virtual building, a virtual space. It's even better than I imagined, because with just, you know, land in a building, it can have capacity for only so many people, and you have to come to this location, all those other things. But with this, what you're creating here is amazing, because you can hook in any time of the day from anywhere on the planet if you have the capacity to do so. And you can have an endless number of people participating. Oh my gosh, that's even, how can it get any better than this? This is a question I ask myself often when I feel like, yeah, but you know, I've got a thought as a mortal. How can I, you know, recruit the universe to make it even better? You ask the question, and your mind will, and your heart will answer. You ask the question, how can it get any better than this? And there'll be a ping back. And I guess the universe ping back. And so here we are co-creating this enlightenment center. I'm just so thrilled. But I also did like a card reading for me this week, because I was very disturbed by the record floods and people who had died and lost their homes and everything, and asking, what is my place in all of it? Anything, something, you know, just give me some. So I had a few cards, but I want to share three of them that really leapt out from this conversation. First one, I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's tricky. It's hard. It's a healing card. You can see the moon there. The moon is in the healing card.
Now we see it. Good.
That to me looks like water flowing. I have to get it exactly right. And there, it's hard to see, you've got like two faces. And you could imagine those as, you know, the masculine and the feminine in the water with the moon over it. I mean, come on, you can't make this stuff up. The next card I want to share is this one. Sorry, what it is there's people here in community in a space of learning with a teacher there. So it's a space for us to gather and get together. And the last card, oh, honestly, grandmothers. I'm like, oh, can you be any more obvious with your messaging, ancestors? Seriously, there's a moon up there. I don't know if you guys can see there's a moon as well. I'm like, come on. And the dreaming, see how she's. So that was the, you know, the title, well, the, you know, of this call was dreaming. So we, you know, we're called to do more of these sorts of conversations, obviously, and do deep dives. Deep dives. I know some of it is a bit over our heads. That's why we have to come down into our heart and feel the messaging. It's almost like we're dream whisperers now. You know, we're moon whisperers now. You know, and like when the baby is forming in the womb, you know, when you talk to the baby in the womb, you sing to the baby in the womb, you whisper to it. I also have another quick story, because I'm going to be a grandmother around July, August. So, hey, whoop, high five to you, Anita. The story there, though, to do with the womb. We had a very near miss with baby. And when that occurred, I won't go into the details. When that occurred, the first thing I did when I had the first opportunity, I went out onto Papatuanuku, the whenua, the land, stood there in my bare feet, and I did a call to my moko, my grandchild to be coming into this world. And I said to moko, fight. Fight for your life. And I'm there with you. I'm right there with you. And I sang to moko. And I imagined moko as a baby and a child and an adult transcending time. Boop, there's my alarm. So
Don't stop. You know, don't stop.
I will wind up though. That's, you know, these ceremonies that we have are real, because after, you know, sometime after I went out and I did that ceremony with my moko, calling moko to fight, and that I'm there with you. My son, sometime later, messaged me back, like this is like a week or two, sometime later, through Facebook. He sent me this picture and I couldn't make the picture out. I was like, what is that? I said, Mum, this is, what do you call it? The scan. There's, the baby lives. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like Celine was saying, if you don't know the power you have inside you to affect reality, reflect on that. And why? Because our power is great. Why is it great? Because we descend from the supernatural ancestors. That's why. We are co-creators, just like they are. They need us and we need them. You know, they only live like in this world because we honor them and we practice the traditions they hand down to them, and we stay true to pono. Pono is truth in our language, actually. Pono. So I'm just going to leave it there because, you know, man, there's so much to say. I'm really, oh, and to say octopus is my spirit animal, by the way. So I'm like thrilling out here. You can't tell, but I really am, because you reminded me I need to go back and have a meditation with my with feke. That's our word for octopus, is feke. And you're right. Every tentacle is like an individual brain, and it's all networked, and it's amazing. And feke has 3 hearts. Come on. the most intelligent organism in the ocean. I'm just going to say, because that's what I want to believe, but they're pretty smart and wise. They can get in and out of any situation. They are amazing. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it there, and maybe on reflection of the topics we discussed, man, it's going to be tricky picking just one to be the next topic for these circles. They are so important. Yael, I'm so happy that you have been pivotal, you and Larian and everyone on the team on your side in pulling these circles together, because they are very much needed. Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who stayed on the call. Yeah, it's beautiful to be with you. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you so much for all that you've shared. And I feel, you are a part of the team, all of the elders that are here today, all of the elders that we have. We couldn't have done it without you. I mean, to hear me speak alone, I mean, yeah, I can be entertaining, but not like this. You know what I mean? Now that you've experienced our elders, you know what I mean. I do want to say, Catherine, that when you ask, how can this be any better? And then you tell the stories of all the connectednesses and show us the cards. And I feel that one day we'll be called to let go of technology and really realize the powers that we have within to connect without any outside means, outside of ourselves, because we're already connected, yet we are so, we're so like non-believers saying, oh, what a coincidence. Isn't it magical? How did this happen? Where it's like, come on, it's happening. Just will you please start, working with it rather than being surprised by it. So I feel we're slowly stepping into it. Like, once upon a time we were like, we have to meet, we have to feel, we have to know, we have to receive it in writing, otherwise it's not valid. And little by little, we're letting go of all kinds of concepts. So who knows? I don't know. And me too, every time I dreamt something from my belly, life then took it way beyond what I could imagine. So I'm like, we're so constricted. Our minds are so small. The imagination sometimes seems endless, but compared to what, life, I don't know, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, can do once we, Basil Braveheart, who was a Lakota elder, says, if you surrender your dreams to spirit, all you need to do is just surrender and look for the fruit. And so that is what I would like to leave us with. And before Ia gives us the closing, I just want to say that we are a very small organization, and working to become a nonprofit, because we're so small, we're not even a nonprofit yet. But if you feel nurtured and you want and can nurture back, I will put in the chat box the link to donations through our fiscal sponsor, because we are not our own 501c3 yet. And thank you so much for being with us. And Ia, can you please take us to the closing blessing?
I was thinking, what do we close with? It felt like we went so far out and came back, and all I could see was that I'm sitting here in the ocean, and that Mahina in the ocean, and there's the birthing ocean, and this contraction that happens in creation. And it feels to me that when I look for my ancestors, that somehow they informed in me that there was a contraction to bring us through this valve to open a way. And that we look at it as something bad that happened. I don't know why, it loomed out of this whole conversation that I'm sitting in the valve, that valve that opened us to go out it's almost like we had to make a sacrifice to go forward. And then when you talked about the turtles, every year we have turtle watch here. They come to the ocean and they lay their eggs and they leave. And the story is that they trust the humans that are here that will nurture them. They're not worried anymore because we have to be. And it reminds me that it's that way when we become the enlightened ones or the beings that know the way, that now we being gifted that light that opens the way, opens the valve. And I'm carrying the energy of Yael is a woman, the womb mother, the creation who opens the valve. And I wanted to end us with that. And I didn't like, how do I end with Yael's gift for opening this valve? And it's gonna come like a chant and a song, so you have to listen. Oluge rebe, olo yele, olo do, bi osamara, ogba ome, obire wole, wole, ale fogede, olo wori awa, Omi je aren, omi orubu sula. Obanabi, seke, seke, seke. Obiyamo fide soju ona. Abiyamo, abirole, wole. And what she says now, the giver of good things, we want to be in gratitude for the givers of good things. For good things come from this water. Spirit that is rare in this sweet river means the sweetness of all things. Like that, we like that rainbow rising up. We are the active midwives of children. We are the midwives. So we are grateful to be here to midwife again our way forward. Spirit, we who carry prophecy, divination in the practice of Ifa, any African cosmology, means you carry prophecy, that you can divine and receive a direction, the active direction that you need now. You, spirit of wealth that you hold within yourself, pull on that. Oh, Mother, who is the owner of this water, of this valve, the opening, we are so grateful. We hold this deep place of honor within ourselves. Thank you, Mother. For we are like the hot energy of that spews out and spread through the universe, spreads through the earth, in the inner soul, in the upper world. And we come back down and we cool ourselves. Spirit we look into the future. We look like the creator ourselves. We are your co-creation, so we are in gratitude. Spirit of who we carry the sweetness of the vagina, the road, the passage into life. We are so grateful. We are the nursing mothers of a gentle strife. Let us move with ease upon this planet as we weave ourselves back together again and again and again. And so it be. And so it be. Ashe.
Ashe, thank you, Toda Rabba. Thank you, everyone. We will stop the recording. And if you want to unmute and say farewell, if you want to put in the chat box some blessing or an offering, we'll be here for a few more minutes, and thank you all. We'll see you next month, the 7th, right, Diana? 7th. Same time we said, right, Diana? Remind me.
Yeah, 7th of March, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Just
Thank
like
you
today.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
I just,
you.
yeah, so grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. So grateful. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, elders.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celine. Thank you, Sharon.
Mahalo, aloha ma, aloha ma.
Thank
Aloha
you
ma.
so
Much. Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, Mayor.
Tupagnanchis kama. Thank you.
Kama.
Ahui ho, until we meet again.
Ahui ho.
Ash.
Ashe, ahui ho, mahalo.
Thank you. Many blessings.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Yael, and everyone. It's so deeply enriching. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, darling.
Oh, total gift. Bye-bye, everyone.
And thank you to Tina, who's done the tech today and helped us facilitating and make this so smooth. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's so wonderful. Pleasure. Mhm.
Catherine and Celine, can you do the 7th the same time? Could you check your calendars now that I have you? Oh, and Tina, can you stop the